Here. Hey, in the midst of recording my last webinar for you guys, I didn't realize I used up all of my data. So I had to transfer quite a bit of information over to my Seagate backup. Anyways, so I just want to talk about my trade today. I want to talk about the momentum that I saw. I want to talk about my plan, and I'm going to show you guys my plan of action. As you can see, I already had things drawn up, a bit confusing. First thing I want to note is the zones that were in between the zone, first of all. And I'm going to pull up my trading plan. So I was inside my drive. I went through the drive, and then I came to the plan to show you guys the plan. And so these are the steps, right? So this is what I think about first. The first thing that I got to think about when I'm trading is, this is the most important question. Do you have higher time frame momentum? Why? Because if you don't, if you cannot spot momentum, no trade. No momentum, no entry. You're done. You're not trading if you cannot spot it. The first thing that I noticed was, okay, we have momentum. The next steps that I go through, right, is I need to figure out if we can identify the structure. So that's where structure came in. So you guys know that I trade around the 4-hour time frames, and I wait for the momentum. So this morning when I woke up around 6 o'clock, there was nothing clear, right? This was 6 o'clock. Nothing was clear, right? So by after 6, we ended up, for the 10 o'clock, we had the momentum. In between, there was plenty of moves to catch, but I didn't have momentum. So what do? How do you identify structure? Well, that's where this comes into play. Boom. So as I was telling the team in the group chat, at first my bias was bullish because the 1-hour time frame in the morning was like around here when I first looked at it, right, in this time. So it was actually looking to be like it potentially was gaining liquidity to keep going bullish. There was no clear signs of anything yet, right? So that was my initial. So then I just kept waiting. I waited an hour and a half. So when I'm spotting the momentum, when I'm spotting the structure is going to be like this. If we have structure going bearish, a bearish market is going to have lower lows and lower highs. That's how you know if you're bearish, right? So following up with the idea that the 4-hour is going to have a wick to go fill and a momentum to push down bearish, first you have to understand, do we even have structure yet? And we did. We already had structure prior to. So this is where my structure was. So see this zone here? You can see this little minor. We broke past. So this is the highest high. This becomes lower low. Now we have lower high. It's retesting. Now, resistance. It's retesting resistance. Boom. Break support again. It broke the support. Overall touching the support. Making another lower high. So you can see that this was 2-1 confirm. 2-1. And then 2-2. So you have higher high. Lower low, lower high, that's 2-1, 1-2-1, 2-2 for 2-2 confirm for change of trend in structure, followed by higher time frame momentum. And if you pull up the pip count, you can see that in that wick fill, we did drop 13 pips. So that was already around my profit target. I pulled, I'm out of the trade now. I have no entries in anymore. Price hit my stop loss in profit because we're in a nice range. So price can just be ranging here, go back up here, and I just wanted to collect my money and run, following momentum. But the 4-hour time frame, as I told the team in the group, I said keep an eye out for the 4-hour because you see how the 4-hour rejected so strong, and in between we had those lower lows and lower highs. So this is setting up for another push for the 10 o'clock, right? The 1-hour. This was especially what I told the team. I said the reason why we're going down. So a lot of my team, I've trained them, and they understand that they want to get in when price breaks a structure. But just because it hasn't broken a structure doesn't mean that it's not engulfing enough to want to continue to go bearish to retest, right? So as you can see, we had this wick to go fill, and look, it filled the wick. Then look, it left another wick to go fill, filled the wick. Can this be another wick to go fill? Potentially, if we keep going bearish. The 30-minute. Look how the 30-minute, lower high, wick to go fill, wick to go fill, wick to fill. This was not ideal for momentum, but this is ideal for scalping. So when you're identifying momentum, the way I identify momentum is off of the 4-hour time frame. So if I have that 4-hour time frame bias of bearish, that's when I will go through these other time frames to look to get an idea to see if we are going to continue into that momentum and how we're going to, if we're going to keep continuing into momentum, where's the next zone that we're going to want to hit, and if we're done or if we're going to retrace, etc. So this is very basic. And now this video is actually not as good as my other video because the other video was live time as the move was happening. So I do apologize to that. But the thumbnail will have my entries and my reasons for the entries. And I actually, to be quite honest with you guys, I actually did take originally sells here in the 9 o'clock time. I originally took some sells here, and then I took some more sells here, and then my stop loss was here. And then as price just kept ranging, I added more sells on this other lower high. It looks like we're setting up for just more bearish activity. But following the momentum of the trade, even the 5-minute, you can very clearly see the 5-minute is making these lower lows now and lower highs to continue going into the bearish push. Right, and then of course, the last little doohickey here is going to be your currency strength meter. The currency strength meter really comes into play when you're trying to identify momentum and if a push is going to happen right now, right? Like, so if you're looking at this currency meter, like Euro USD is probably launching. If you just look at Euro USD right now, we are potentially launching. Not so much. Let's look at what the 15-minute ended up looking like. Not so much crazy, but we have, yes, been going up since this morning. Let's see if the 4-hour had any. Oh, definitely momentum here. This is the ideal momentum setup. We break above resistance, right? And so this was liquidity grab to continue going into the bullish trend. Look how many pips that was. 33 pips. 33 pips since this morning. But because of that currency meter is so strong on the euro, plus look how strong this cross was, like huge momentum in retest, right? So as you can see, this is cross and retest for continue going bullish, but the currency meter, in my instance, when I looked at the currency meter, the US dollar was like this and the Japanese yen had this green guy here, like the murky kind of green. So it was giving me enough confirmation to say, okay, well, the Japanese yen is much stronger than the US dollar right now, so I can see price going more bearish. And that's exactly why I took my trade. And I wrote out a little bit of drawdown on my trade. I had a little bit of drawdown on some of my entries because some of my entries I had entered here. So I suffered a few pips of drawdown, but then I just re-entered off of that pullback because my confirmation was so strong to go bearish that this was just more liquidity. And it did close no wick here. So it's a potential sign of possible exhaustion, right? So when price closes no wick, it is a good sign of potential exhaustion. So I do look out for those kinds of things, but that was not an indication of why I took more sells. But I still took more sells on that pullback. And you'll see in the picture and in the description. Very good potential that we do continue going bearish, right? Like I don't want to be the all-see, all-knowing guy because I'm not. I make mistakes. But I did close my positions because profit is profit. I wanted to get out because being in this range here, we can be doing anything. We could be setting up to go more. We could be setting up to have more of a range here. Who knows? I don't really know. However, I closed my bigger winning positions and I took my percentage and I was done. I was happy with my 20% for the morning. I'll take 20% any day of the week. Although, if price were to potentially come down to 4.1 or where my original TPs were at 4.2 and also TPs at the bottom of this wick range here. But then I started moving stop loss in profit just for the idea that we might be having a launch going bullish. Kind of would freak me out. My patience with swinging is very low. So many of you know that. I do not have a very good patience for swinging. But when you can see that, like I have a 10 pip rule. If price hits 10 pips, start closing your entries down. So as you can see, within 30 minutes, 10 pips was already achieved. So because I've lost so much in the Forex markets by not closing in profits, this is where you have to set your greed aside and just say, okay, start going for your percentage, start going for where your exit strategy is, because anybody can enter, but not everybody can exit, right? Because what if price starts to go bullish now and then you're holding on to your bearish, but then you had all the signs that price was rejecting and this support was strong enough to potentially reverse, right? Because price can do anything. When you're second guessing the market, when you're chasing trades, like that's when you're going to make the most mistakes. You don't want to do that. You want to just have a very clear idea and you want to follow your trading plan, right? So that's why I'm walking you guys through a little bit into my trading plan, right? And there's rules I have if I do not trade. Most importantly being if I have excuse me guys, if I have no momentum, there's no trade. So like this morning, if I was up at the crack of dawn just waiting directly for the 4-hour candle for 6, there was no clear direction of momentum unless you're just selling resistance. That's about it. Unless you're just selling resistance and you're a beast, that's it. But there's no idea for momentum. This was momentum. This here was the momentum there. And as you can see, look, now we're starting to have a bit of a rejection. But it doesn't matter because my scalp was there. My scalp was here. This was my momentum scalp. And this is exactly why you close in your profits and why you have rules. And I have rules. So what had happened? This was a potential lower high, but what did it end up doing? Maybe made potential higher low for a 2-1 confirm off this support. Now we're just entering into a time of ranging. So this is not ideal, because a push just happened already in the first hour. Typically with momentum, if push doesn't happen in the first hour, maybe it will happen in the second hour, right? Or it would happen in the very last hour. So the pushes usually happen right away or right at the end. Like you might have for the early morning, like here. So you can see this is the last hour push, right? From 9 till 10. This was a huge drop here from 9 till 10. And that last hour ended up dropping, around 17 pips in total. That's huge. So without going into too much other detail, like confusing you guys, right? The last thing I want to do is confuse you guys more because I don't know everything. I just know what I know and I know it works for me. But what works for you might not be what works for me. But that's why I have my trading plan based around momentum. Trade if you have higher time frame momentum. This is important. If you're part of my team, you kind of understand this better. But those of you watching YouTube, you might be a little bit lost. But currency meter, of course, this is just a bonus. This is not anything that's concrete. If you have a clear mindset, only trade if you have a clear mindset. So I had a nice meditation this morning for 35 minutes. It was very good. And then it helped me give me a clear understanding of how I'm going to trade this morning. Right? Identify structure. If you can't identify structure, don't trade. If you plotted out your zones, you always want to have your zones plotted up. And if you clearly can see which direction momentum is going, that's the only time that you should really trade because you want to trade around high probability. I trade around high probability. And that's what this was. This was a very high probability trade that we just rejected. Look how strong this candle is. Very, very, very strong. These are what I call engulfing, even though it didn't surpass the candle below. I don't care. I call it engulfing because it's big. It's huge. If you don't like the word engulfing, then fine. It's just large. It's a large red candle. I like those. I like it rejecting this resistance. Because then it left us a wick to go fill. So price came down and then it came back up and it left us with the 4-hour to go finish filling that wick. Everything was pointing towards sells this morning. The 1 hour was pointing towards sells this morning. Wick to go fill, wick to go fill. Look, this was from 8. So from 9 o'clock, like the 9 till 10, there was a wick to go fill. Then, of course, from 10 o'clock until 11 o'clock, there was another wick to go fill. So there's always times to trade. There's never a missed opportunity. Almost every single time frame is really telling us we're going bearish, right? That lower high, wick to go fill, wick to go fill. So I'm getting a little bit repetitive because I don't want this video to be too extravagant and long. I just want it to be of my thought processing of my entries, how I took my entries, why I took my entries, and all my entries were here, literally. They were here and here, and this was right before 10. So there's 10, right? Look at the bottom of the screen, you see 10, and all my entries were in this time. So I did have some entries down here. I did write up some drawdown, but then overall, all of my entries were here in this area, maybe even a little lower for some of them. And it was a pretty heavy margin trade. So it was as I said, it was a 20% account growth trade. Very nice trade. This could have been scalp the swing if momentum's going to keep going bearish, right? So if I'm going to swing it, then I'm going to actually put a stop loss and risk losing something. I'm going to risk losing some money. You have to risk. Because if I just if I want to swing and I place all my stop losses in profit, what happens when price hits your stop loss and then keeps going bear? Well, you're out. So if you're going to swing, you have to really risk. So that's the only thing with my scalp to swing strategies on how I scalp to swing. You cannot just leave stop loss in profit unless price is already like 10 or 15 pips. Then, okay, start moving your stop loss at 10 pips. And then it's fine because, okay, if it hits your stop loss at 10 pips, who cares? You swung 10 pips. That's great. Anything over 10 pips is pretty much a swing anyways. So most profitable traders I know will catch 3 to 5 pips per position. And that's it. That's it. So very simply, this is how I trade momentum. Again, I kind of want to look at EURUSD just to get an idea if we kept going or if we started retracing. No, it did break a bit. Yep, see, she did break. That was here on the currency strength meter because it was just too strong, right? Like the euro was way too strong. US dollar was way too weak. So this is right for 10 o'clock. Here's 10 right here, as you can see. Right for the 10 pullback off the 14 EMA. 14 pips. And if you look at the 4-hour time frame, look what happened. We left us with another wick to go fill. Above resistance again. We're probably headed more towards the 1.1726 range, another 30 pips-ish or so. A little less than 30 pips into this whole wick range area. This is where I would say price is headed, just based off of price action and momentum. You can see how price is just kind of setting up to continue going bull. With the huge cross and retest. Very strong. This was news. Absolutely news. Because these types of moves usually only happen during like news times. And news just kind of wrecked it right here with a cross and retest. But anyways, that's my idea. If I was going to trade this morning for EURUSD and I would have seen this first thing at 6, I would have been looking to trade immediately. And then if I would have been looking at the 15-minute, you can see higher highs and higher lows, right? As you can see, she's just keeps breaking, making higher lows and higher highs, higher lows and higher highs. So there's your structure. Higher high, higher low again. Higher high, higher low. Higher high, higher low. This is still lower than this, but if the trend is bullish, you need to start looking at these as higher highs. Higher high, higher low. Higher high broke here again, higher low. As you can see, it just continuously was making higher highs and higher lows. Following with a 4-hour momentum push, that would have been a perfect scalp. High probability. Trading around, if you trade around 4-hour time frames, if you know what to look for, you will begin to be trading high probability. This is ideal for trading because no one wants to sit in front of a computer looking at charts all day. It's just the bottom line. Like, nobody wants to be sitting in front of a chart all day long because it's going to stress you out. Supply and demand will stress you out. When price is ranging and consolidating, you're just going to get stressed out. But when you eventually have breaks and you have confirmation, and believe me, guys, these happen every day. So it's not like this is something that happens once a month. It's every day. You've got 6 4-hour candles in one trading day. You have 30 opportunities per week to trade momentum per pair. So if you're trading 2 pairs, that means that you have 60 opportunities per week. If you're trading 3 pairs, that means that you have 90 opportunities per week. You see how that works? So if you just base your trading plan around momentum, it really can help you guys out. And then, of course, through my blood, sweat, and tears, I put into a trading plan. And then I converted my trading plan into a team trading plan. And then most of my students, they will use this. They will use this to help them with their own trading plan. So if you were to go into any of the other students' trading plans, theirs looks very similar to this, but then they tweak it because not everybody doesn't, like for me, I don't trade if I have a headache, but somebody else might be able to trade with headache. Like if somebody else is mad, maybe they take their aggression out on the charts and actually do well. I don't. So this is part of my plan. I don't trade if I'm mad. I don't trade if I'm sad, right? I don't trade if I've had an argument with someone. I just don't, because there's going to be tomorrow. The charts never go away. So, it's not like you got to, go hustle your sales to get a freaking commission. Like the same thing's going to happen tomorrow. And then the next day, and then the next week, and then the next week. So very simply, and then Forex Factory. That's one thing I didn't do this morning. Look, always check. I didn't even check, honestly. I didn't check Forex Factory. Bad person. Thankfully, we had nothing. But I mean, like, let's see if I would have traded today, 10 a.m. See, like 10 a.m. So if I would have traded 10 a.m. this morning and didn't check news and I had an orange jacket, bad news, because this could have completely switched on me at 10 a.m. Look, so tomorrow we have 10 a.m. news. And this is FOMC, so these move markets. So I got lucky today, but if today was Tuesday and I didn't check, and let's see if it's positive or negative. More hawkish than expected is good for currency. So technically, if this is good for currency and I'm trading USD JAPY, that's a potential bullish signal that it might go bullish, because if it's good, it's going to follow that currency. So what if we had good currency, like good news, and then I was trading USD JAPY, right? And I was trading USD JAPY. What do you think could have happened? Well, what if it just freaking launched for the news and I was entered in sales? So you got to make sure that you keep an eye on the freaking Forex Factory. So very, very, very bad play by myself this morning by not checking news, because you just never know. Like, you can have some random news pop up. So, but for the sake of the trade, you guys get it. You're getting it more and more. We had the structure. Lower lows, lower highs, all the way down on the 15-minute. 10 pip TP-ish. I didn't catch full 10 pips on all my entries, because some of them, of course, were like here. But 6 pips is a crap load of pips. So I kind of want to stay in the chart just a little bit longer, just because of the fact that I want to see if we are creating more lower highs, and I want to see if we do make a break. Because what time is it? Oh, it's just into 11 o'clock. It's just into 11 o'clock. But look how the 1 hours we're setting up. Like, the 1 hours just keep setting up pretty bearish. As you can see, like, so because of the 15-minute with the lower lows and lower highs, look on the 1 hour how those ended up playing out. You can see these are those 15-minute lower lows and lower highs, right? All the way down. But then look at how it works on an hour chart. You can see it so clearly how we followed momentum. So, like, if we're going to draw this guy out here, right? So this guy, now let's look at the 15-minute. Boom. Look at where this candle pulled us off to. So boom, is a lower high right at 9 o'clock. Right at 9 o'clock. And so you guys know that momentum And pushes happen at the beginning of a candle usually, at the beginning of like a 1 hour candle. Right, so look, this was by 9:30, 30 minutes in, and then it made the drop. But, you know, if we were just to highlight any of these times, right, look at the time, 8:30, 8:45, 9 on a lower high. Right at 9 o'clock, boom, it drops. Another lower high, right at 10, boom, it drops again. So it's making these lower highs, setting up for those pushes. And the 1 hour is really, really helpful. The 1 hour and the 4 hour are like very, very extreme. The daily is not so important today, right now. The daily becomes more important around the time that the new daily candle opens. So if this were to close like this right now, the new daily just opened. That's a pretty dang straight line. Kudos to me. If the daily was going to open right now just like this, she's going to tank. Because she broke below support. Look how strong this is. This is telling me that we're at least going here and at least going into this wick range area. So it can really help you get an understanding of where she's going to go by looking. That's where zones come in. So this would have been on a zone, but in between zones. So where do you think she would have gone? Look how many pips that is into this next zone, into this next areas. But if she was going to close like this, this is why I only look at the daily on Sunday when the market just opens, and then on the new daily time frame, the new dailies. So every time, so that's at 2 p.m. for me. So it's in another couple hours, 2.5 hours. That is when the new daily opens. So that's when it's more important. It's more important to me when it opens, right when it opens. But if you're looking at it in the beginning of the day, you know, if I look at the daily at early in the morning, well, anything can happen in that time frame. If I look at the daily early in the morning, we still have another, 12 hours before the freaking, or 8 hours, freaking 12 hours before price even, I'm losing my train of thought here because I have music in the background. When you look at the daily too early in the morning, not when the daily is just opening, you leave room for price action to set up for something different. Because although the daily can look really strong going more and more bearish now, what if it closed way up here? Maybe it would reject, right? So that's where I was going with this whole, don't judge everything based off the daily too early into the trading day. And what I do is I look at it right when the market opens, right when the new daily opens. But this is looking really, really pretty. It's almost telling me like I should have just left my TPs really down at the 4-2. Because once it got to here, once it closed like this, I started closing most of them. I don't really remember what I closed at. I'll have to go check. Just being fairly honest with you guys. But you can see that price continuously is making these lower lows and lower highs. It's a very good indication that price is going to keep going bearish, especially with this cross. So there's a cross in the retest. So we very well may be just continuing into momentum. But anyways, I'm going to close it down. I could be on this all day long. So I want to keep short and quick and easy videos for you guys just to understand and comprehend very quickly rather than me just ramble on about the same thing over and over. Because I tend to do that. But anyways, let's wait. Let's just wait 5 more minutes because in this 5 more minutes, we'll just see where this closes because this did just make another lower high. And if this were to continue pulling down, then it will bring this 14 EMA closer, which means that this would have tapped the 14 EMA. The wicks would have. So I just want to continue watching just for 5 more minutes. I don't need to talk a whole lot more. This is a good setup for bullish. These types of setups because you can see it's just making higher highs and higher lows now. This is going to go into the point where I talk about how the trade comes quick. Because if you look at the time, look at that's 10:15. This is 10. This is 10:05. This is 10. So look, right at 10 o'clock, price literally drops 10 pips in a matter of 20 minutes in the very first hour of the candle. And then what did she do? She retraced the same amount, almost 8 pips, and now is ranging. So if you're sitting in front of your computer all day long looking at this, it's going to drive you crazy when price is going from supply and demand. Boom, 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 boom. She can go like this. Boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden she tanks. We had all the signs already. What she does now, it does not matter. And this is why I'm always telling you guys that you got to be ready in the beginning of those candles. Because as soon as the 4 hour happened, right? If I would have entered way down here, I would have missed the move. I mean, it still would have went down a few pips, so you still could have caught some. But what if you kept holding? And I mean, at least if you're a best swing trader and you just leave an actual stop loss, maybe you just take a losing trade. But the whole idea is when momentum happens, it happens right now. Like here, look, boom, happened right now. We had all the signs. All the signs are telling us we're going bearish. Boom, happened in 20 minutes, 15 or 10 pips. And there's your money. There's your money. There is your money. Now is just a whole bunch of consolidation. Now is a whole bunch of price can go anywhere. But the momentum happened right here. And that's what you're looking for. That's what I'm looking for. Maybe not you, but that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for high probability and for price to get in and to be out. To be in and be out. And that's it. So we have about 2 more minutes left, 3 more minutes left. See what happens. I just want to see if it ends up dropping or if it just keeps making like higher highs and higher lows off the 5 minute, and if it's just gonna, go bullish. I'm just curious. I don't think she's gonna push any further right now, but I just want to get an idea, see who she is. Maybe Forex Factor, or excuse me, wrong thing. Currency meter. Maybe Jappy's real strong. Nah, they're both really weak. Euro USD must be going up still, unless it just hit that, because it's at a pretty pivotal point. Well, it's already broken above. This is a very good sign of continuation of momentum. Just some liquidity grabs before going more bullish, especially following those momentums. The Euro USD was a very good trade. If anybody else caught it, I think some guys in my group, they were posting. I woke up and they were posting it. They were trading it. That's momentum. Very, very, very good momentum. Very, very good. This is where like my OCD is kicking in. I don't like double check, but then when I see something, it freaking makes me flip out. I missed the M. It's looking like we're just making more higher lows to keep going bull. Let's go look at USD Jappy again real quick because we're about to close in the next minute. So it's looking like it's just an opportunity of ranging. No momentum. Just like as you can see, this was once price did this. This is actually when I started closing down most of my positions because I was 2 pips away from my TP, and we left this whole like looking pin bar type of deal. These kind of things freak me out for a continuation of momentum into the trend. They just freak me out, and so that is when I started closing down my entries. I said, forget the other 2 pips. It doesn't matter. I just started clicking the X's on the side. Click, 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 and then boom. Boom, you can see what had happened. So I'm not seeing anything pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to close down and edit this, upload it, whatever. And so look, I just wanted to pop into Euro USD to get a little bit more of an idea. If this closes no wick, that could be 1 or 2 things. It can mean like potential exhaustion and she wants to just come down, right? Like it's on this major resistance, but maybe just wants more time to range before continuing into that momentum. But overall, the higher time frames, everything has a lot of momentum, a lot of DNA of momentum. But anyways, all right, I'm over it. See you guys on the next one.